Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Film Fan Club. My name is Sam Carrico once again. Thanks for joining me in this non-spoiler review of Batman vs. Superman. The movie that we've all been one of the movies that we've all been waiting for 2016 has finally arrived, and it's a very divisive film so far with like 30, I think last I checked it was 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty sad because on Thursday it was like 41% and then it went down to like 31% and now it's 29%. Very divisive film nonetheless. The audience score is in like the lower 70s, so it's still got a good audience rating so far. But what did I think about it? As I said, this will not be a spoiler review. If you want my thoughts on all the spoilers, we're going to go into that on the next episode of the Film Fan Club show. So throughout this episode, or throughout this video rather, you might hear me like say, "Hey, just wait for the spoiler review. We'll get to it then." I did that. I tried to shoot this last night, and I've been really busy lately with work and school and whatnot. I'm actually like shooting this after work at like 11 p.m. right now because that's the only time I can find time to do it. But I still want to talk about this movie. Nonetheless, let's get right into it. I'm Sam Carrico, by the way. I don't know if I said that. What are the pros of this movie? Well, first off, the direction and the cinematography. A lot of people are giving Zack Snyder a lot of flack for how the story kind of flowed and some of the problems with him as a director for this film. A lot of the visual, he's a great visual director, he's a true visionary, so this film, it felt like a comic book. It felt like, like he directed Watchmen, like he directed Man of Steel. This film was a little bit less stylized than Man of Steel. I kind of miss a little bit of that aesthetic that he brought to Man of Steel that I feel like they kind of held back on a little bit in this film, but the cinematography and the visual style of the direction was all very well done nonetheless. The first opening scene, it felt kind of like, I don't know if it's okay, well, I'll just say the opening scene was handled really well in kind of a cool way. And I like that you really feel the effects of what happened in Man of Steel. They don't just brush over that like in a lot of the Marvel movies do. They just kind of, oh yeah, we destroyed a city, whatever, let's focus on something else now. It's like, no, we live in a world where things have consequences, where the actual, building blocks or the destroyed building blocks from one movie will carry over to the next movie and they actually have to deal with those consequences. So, and I'm sure we're going to see that in future Justice League movies too. So, what else did I have for the pros? All the fight scenes in this film are really well done, except for the one at the end, which you saw in the trailers that had Doomsday in it. That one was a little bit messy, but everything up to that point was great. Superman taking down henchmen like a Superman should, like a powerful supreme god alien being. Fantastic. Batman, excuse me, hiccups. Batman taking down people like the brutal Ben Affleck, straight out of Batman Arkham City type Batman. That was all fantastic. The one thing that I have a problem with in this film is Batman kills people, which is weird because I don't know if I'm a hypocrite because Batman from 1989 and Batman Returns from 1992, Michael Keaton as Batman kills in both of those movies. I didn't have a problem with it, but then after Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy firmly established that Batman has this huge, strong code against killing, it was really weird to see Ben Affleck and Zack Snyder just kind of go, screw it, he kills. Batman's got to kill like at least 100 people in this movie. It's ridiculous. He's blowing them up. It's very jarring for me to transfer from Dark Knight Rises to this. But, aside from the killing, Ben Affleck's a badass. It's really awesome. He does a great job as Bruce Wayne, the dark, brooding side of Bruce Wayne's personality. The back and forth with him and Alfred is really good and funny at times, too. And him being the intimidating Batman was all very well done. What else do I have? The characterization of Batman and Superman. I really understood why Batman wanted to take down Superman. Superman's motivation for fighting Batman wasn't as well handled, but I feel like Superman's characterization, his arc really was handled really well. Now, I'll get into it a little bit later, but Superman's primary arc in this film isn't really, hey, I see this Batman guy and I want to take it down. He's more of having an internal struggle, because in Man of Steel, he realizes, okay, I need to be Superman. I need to be this guy, these people's, savior or whatever. I need to do this. This is the right thing to do. Then he does it, and then in this movie, he starts to question himself. Did I make the right decision? Would Jor-El be proud of me? Would Pa Kent be proud of me? You see a lot of these different these very human aspects of Superman's character come out in this movie, and that's really well handled. Speaking of the human aspects of Superman, Clark and Lois, they have a really great romance in this film. It's really well handled. I know a lot of people actually didn't like this aspect of the film, but I thought the chemistry between Henry Cavill and Amy Adams was done really well when they were on screen. And, you know, like in Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man trilogy with Mary Jane, it's like, oh, every time they cut back to him, I'm just like, get over, come on, move on. But in these films, I really felt it. I was very invested in it, more so invested in other parts that I should have been invested in. What else did I write down? This feels like a DC comic film through and through. The world building in this film, Metropolis, you know, Lex Luthor standing atop of LexCorp in the middle of Metropolis, it makes you feel, yeah, I'm in this world. It's really cool to be in the DC cinematic universe, and the IMAX for this film was very well handled. Not only all the Batman vs. Superman fight scenes, the Doomsday fight scenes, but several other points in this film utilize the IMAX to its greatest, fullest extent, and it's very well. I really liked it. See this film in IMAX if you get the chance. Now, let's get into the negatives, okay? Because there are a lot of films in the negatives. This is a very divisive film. It felt a little bit Amazing Spider-Man 2-ish, where it was a very overly ambitious film. They have this huge slate of movies they want to do in front of it that they all need to kind of springboard off of this film. So you could definitely feel Chris Terrio, Ben Affleck, Zack Snyder, David S. Goyer. They're all really shoehorning in all these Justice League references. This I guess foreshadowing that Batman has towards the storyline for the Justice League movie. There's a lot of scenes in here that include foreshadowing that the average comic, or maybe not the average comic, but the average moviegoer, just my dad who walked into a movie and wanted to just see a Batman vs. Superman movie, there's all these different plot points and stuff, you know, that the people show up and that it's like, wait, who's that guy? Why is he gonna, and then you have to explain to him, okay, no, that's the Flash, he's from blah, 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 and it is very messy at times, I guess is what I'm saying. All the foreshadowing to the Justice League stuff was very messy, just like Amazing Spider-Man 2 was very messy with the Sinister Six stuff. Speaking of being messy, the story itself, not just the foreshadowing to the JLA, but the whole story, there's scenes end at weird times and pick up again at weird times. The editing was kind of weird. It really shows how editing can really fancy into a film and make it just that much better or that much not as good. So, confusing story and editing decisions is what I have written down here. Too much expository Justice League setup. I kind of got into that a little bit. It was really messy, shoehorned in. There's literally a scene where Ben Affleck emails Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and it's basically the headline could have been Justice League setup. We're setting up the Justice League. This is foreshadowing, guys. We're going to do a Justice League movie. It's like, we get it, okay? We get that you're doing it. We get it. Just give us Batman versus Superman, which is one of my huge problems with this film. I felt like this film, I said it's overly ambitious. They tried to do a lot of things. One of the things that they didn't focus on as much as I would have liked them to is fleshing out the actual storyline of Batman versus Superman, because the movie is what have I wanted to see for a very long time is not only a film where Batman and Superman are on screen for the first time together, but where they're actually fighting each other, like that Dark Knight Returns style kind of smackdown. This is it. This is they both want to take down each other genuinely. And in this film, I just didn't feel like we got that. They didn't focus on it as much as they should have. And whenever we did get to the scene, I didn't really feel as much emotion behind the fight. That's where I'll get into the spoiler review there, why I didn't feel as much emotion behind the fight. And then, of course, later on in the film, all the Doomsday stuff, that was really annoying. I didn't like that. Because, I mean, if this film, I feel like if it would have been called, like, something just Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, or Batman/Superman, Dawn of Justice, it would have been much better. It would have been, okay, this is a Batman-Superman movie where they just are characters in the film, not where you're selling us on the fact that this is Batman versus Superman taking each other out. And we didn't get enough of that for a film that's called Batman vs. Superman, so I was a little bit annoyed at that point. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notes a lot. I'm sure that's annoying, but get over it. Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor had huge problems with Lex Luthor in this film. Jesse Eisenberg was impersonating Jim Carrey as the Riddler, as an Edward Nygma. That was very annoying. And then towards the end of the movie too, they try and like give you this, like they try and make him a little bit closer to the comics, and at the time, so it's like you're like, oh, that's supposed to be that way because that's how the comics are. Woo! And it's like they just did it so lazily, and it felt cheap, and it was like, okay, stupid. You can tell what the audience reaction that you're supposed to get out of this film is, because it's so like obvious what they're trying to do, but whenever it's done so sloppily, it's almost sad. So problems with Lex Luthor. I had problems with Doomsday in general in this film. Him being in this film, the way he was in this film, the fight scenes including Doomsday, everything about Doomsday messed up. Everything about Lex Luthor was pretty much messed up for the most part. I'm going to try and think about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some positives about Jesse Eisenberg, man. It is pretty hard. And the trailer spoiled the whole film. If you've seen that second trailer, again, that showed Doomsday, that revealed Wonder Woman, that showed all these different things, you've seen a lot of the film. There are some pretty big spoilers, though, still to be had, so I wouldn't just go watch all the spoiler reviews. I wouldn't just go look up on all the chat boards if you haven't seen the film yet, because there's a lot still to be spoiled. But all the cool stuff, a lot of the cool stuff at least, is in the trailers. You've seen the whole film already, except for some stuff that I'll get into the spoiler review, which takes me to my score. Now, about a quarter way into the movie, about a third of the way into the movie, rather, I was like at a 7.5. I'm like, I don't see what the problem is. Then towards the halfway mark, I got down to like a 6.5, and then by the end of the film, I was at a 6 out of 10, which is where I am now. 6 out of 10 for Batman vs. Superman. I had a lot of pros listed. I'm looking at my list. I feel like there's more pros than cons, but it's not by by a very thin margin. There might be a few more pros than there are cons. It's still got Batman. It's still got Superman in it. It's still a fun movie with DC Comics characters. The action, for the most part, is great. The characters are very fun. The storyline, I think it was fun. A lot of people are like, oh, it's not jokey like the Avengers, therefore it's not fun. I'm like, you don't have to be a jokey. As long as it's got superheroes, they're fighting each other, they got some interesting things to do, which they do for the most part. I mean, the interesting things could have been handled a little bit better, but I don't know. We'll get into that all in the spoiler review, but for now, these are just my initial reactions to Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. I hate that title still anyway. It shouldn't have been called Batman vs. Superman. It should have been a Batman vs. Superman movie, but if they were going to go with the film that I just saw, they should have called it Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice. So, like I keep saying, check out our spoiler review, which will be the next episode of the Film Fan Club show. It'll be on this YouTube channel on Wednesday in the morning, probably. So make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram while you're at it. You can find me just at Samuel D. Carrico. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.